Ken Announcel here, play-by-play for the Abby Canucks. You got it locked on the line chain, a Vancouver Canucks podcast.
What's up, Canuck fans? We're going to react live to the Jim Rutherford press conference. Obviously, if you haven't heard, Patrik Allvin has been relieved of his duties and fired as the general manager of the Vancouver Canucks. That, of course, broke late last night. Unfortunately, I was busy last night, and that's why I want to address reason why our live stream did not occur. Same thing with our post game. I had something I had to take care of very last minute, so I apologize for that. But we're going to react live to this press conference from Jim Rutherford. And actually, I'm going to start a poll for you guys in the live chat. Let me move this up here. Come on, there we go. So our poll question is, was firing Patrik Allvin the right move by the Canucks? Type a 1 if yes, you believe that it was the right move. Type a 2, which means no, it was not the right move by the Canucks. And looks like the press conference is starting right now, so let's go ahead and bring it up.
And so it's important for me to acknowledge the fans first. And a special thank you to them. A year like this, they were respectful to the players. And they supported the team all the way through. And that does not go unnoticed. We're acknowledging the obvious, that this was a very difficult year, and saying thank you. Next, I'll talk about Patrik. It's unfortunate. He's a friend of mine. I think Patrik's a great hockey guy, but we felt it was time to make a change and give somebody else the opportunity to sit in that chair, that GM's chair, and make the decisions going forward. I have offered Patrik the opportunity, if he wants, he can stay in the organization and do some of the things that he is really good at in development and amateur and professional scouting. I'll give him a little time to make that decision. It's very emotional now. And it's unfortunate in a way when give us a better chance to win a bunch of games, but we still weren't going to make the playoffs. And at some point in time, the Vancouver Canucks have got to get a break and pick high in the draft. Why somebody is moving out and point the blame and everything. This was a tough call and a tough situation. But it was a call that I decided to search for a new general manager, Wilson, who I have a lot of time and a lot of respect for. He built a championship team in Abbotsford when people weren't expecting it. And he's been a great guy to work with. But we also felt that it was important that we don't limit it to one person and that we go out into the market and open it up to a bunch of people. And maybe we're going to see something different and make a different choice. So that process will start on Monday. I'll work over the weekend, try to put together names. I'm sure that I'll have enough names coming through on my text where people are looking to have this opportunity. But we'll start to do Zoom calls next week and hopefully get somebody in place here sooner than later. So I will open it up to questions.
Jim, there will be some fans who are saying that Patrik took the fall, but you made a lot of the decisions. What do you say to that? Like in terms of the autonomy he was given to make the decisions versus you having your hand on the wheel quite a bit?
I think that's a fair comment. In my position, I do have to make some decisions, but he was in charge of most of the things in hockey, making the trades and deciding and called up and down and the coach and also I take full decisions, but I don't make decisions for other.
Has been made whether or not you want to have the decision of his future. Where's that going?
It'll be the decision of the new GM as to what happens with the coaching staff, as to what happens with most things going forward. I'm sure you guys have a bunch of questions and you're going to hear the same answer over and over. The new GM is going to have a lot of responsibility and a lot of say and make those decisions. So I'll try not to give you that answer too much, but that's the way the future is going to be here.
I won't make you relive all 82 games, but when you stood before us in September, I think it was with an eye to this team pushing for a playoff spot at the very least. So we kind of know what's transpired over the last 6 months. But in your mind, where did this season get off the rails?
Well, I'm going to answer your question, but it seems that when people answer these questions, people perceive them as excuses. So I will answer your question, but it's not an excuse, it's facts. We started the season with hope that it would be a playoff team. I think at that point in time it had the chance. If I remember right, we started off maybe 4-2 or 5-3 or something. And at that time, Demko was healthy, Hedo was healthy. They both went down at the same time. We started the season already knowing that we should strengthen our center ice. Patrik worked every day making calls, trying to make that deal for a center iceman. And it was never there. Were there deals there he could have made? Maybe, but it would have been a very high price and we'd be sitting here today wishing we didn't do it. And I believe he made the right choice by not making the ones that people were willing to make for Willander or first round picks or things like that. So that hope was there. It started to be Quinn Hughes' decision. I've known for some time that Quinn was not staying in Vancouver. And I've known before this season started, for that matter. It's one of the reasons why we signed the guys, the Garlands, the Bessers, the Demkos. So were had relationships with him, hoping for right, but I don't think that was ever in the cards. Instead of waiting until last season and probably getting a first round pick from the New Jersey Devils, we accelerated where the Canucks, two teams.
You've signaled that you are now in a full-on rebuild. You've used the word. Do you see any way that next season can be appreciably better than this one? Or as the steward of this hockey club, are you bracing for at least one more year of real pain?
I'm not. Obviously, the new GM will make some changes. I would suspect there will be at least 3 new first-year guys in. We count Lekamecki as a first-year guy, Coots, and whoever we pick at the top of the first round. We hope that that player's ready to play. I would think that if the GM would add a couple of veteran players, hopefully good character and mentors like the guys we still have here. And if you blend those in together, you get healthy, Demko's back to where he was, then this team should take a big step forward. I don't want to stand here and say it jumps all the way into the playoffs, but I do believe we have a very exciting team and a team that people are going to have fun watching and watch grow.
Hi, Jim. Teams always do reviews, and sometimes these decisions come a few days or a week or two after the season. Why did you think it was so important to offer this clarity now about Patrik not remaining as GM?
Yeah. Well, I didn't see any reason to do it prior to this. And quite frankly, I had a lot of sleepless nights and I thought a lot about this in many different ways. And the decision was not made till yesterday at noon, my final decision. So that's one reason I couldn't tell him before this. And just through that process, I had met with him about 3 weeks ago. And I said, based on the season, there is a possibility there's going to be changes. And you might be one of them, but I will keep you up to. I said, instead of just letting you sit on pins and needles until today, I said, I'll call you after. And I would have preferred not from some other outlet, but that's the way it works in sports. And so the final decision wasn't made. It wasn't easy, and it took me a long time to get to this point.
That's understandable, given that you had a special relationship, you had a friendship with Patrik. I know that when you hired him as GM, it was because he was a new GM. It was clear you would have a large role. You would be a mentor. You would be, obviously, as head of hockey ops, involved in all the big decisions. Do you foresee your relationship with the next GM being the same, or
No.
Or how will it be different?
Well, I don't see it. I'm available for somebody to help. But I want the new GM to make all hockey decisions. Now, he may not make decisions about the practice rink because nobody wants to make that decision. But he may not make some of these decisions, or where training camp is, or some of the things that a president would do. But as for hockey related with the players, he will make those decisions.
Do you have an update on the practice rink? I'm over here. Hi.
Where are you?
Right here.
Right in front of my nose. Go ahead.
Do you have an update on the practice rink?
I do. And I'm afraid to say it because we've been a long ways down the road on a couple of other rinks over the last couple of years, and at the end they fell apart. But we're further down the road to the finish line on Britannia. And I think everything is in place for it, except we're just waiting for public opinion. That we're not doing something that we're upsetting people in the neighborhood that live there. Get plan with the building includes parts of it. I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed because we've kind of been here before and we didn't get there. But
Quinn Hughes likely wasn't going to stay before the season began. He's not the first guy to not want to stay. Is there something within this team, within this organization that needs to change in terms of culture to keep good people in the organization?
I'm going to answer it in a different way than you expect. Some people think Quinn left here because the team wasn't any good. He was leaving anyways, okay? And the best example I can give you is Matthew Tkachuk. He was in Calgary. They had a good team. He wanted to go back to the US and he went. And this is not going to be the last guy in Quinn Hughes that decides he's going to leave. And I think, and I'm close to him. I really like him. I respect what he did in Vancouver. He put on a good show for a lot of years, but guys work towards free agency. And we should respect the fact that he had that option and he was going to exercise the option to go back to the United States.
Jim, just to go, just to go back to the sort of your timeline yesterday. So, what was the nature of your meeting with Francesco? Did you have to get the okay?
No, it was just an update on where we're at, where we're going. I've actually met with Francesco more in the last couple of weeks than I have the whole time I've been here. And it wasn't on a daily basis. He wasn't calling every day. He wasn't pushing me on anything, but probably met with him 3 or 4 times over the last 3 weeks. And just talking about where we're at, stressing the rebuild, which he's totally on board for, and where do we go? I asked him his thoughts. He didn't push them on me. And we walked through some of his thoughts and some of my thoughts, and then I came to the conclusion that that's what we were going to do.
And then just for yourself, I mean, what do you see your future? You're talking about a GM that's going to have a lot more power. Is that someone you're going to? I mean, you want? I think you sort of.
Well, I'm gonna go to Canadian Tire and get a hammer and help build the practice rink. I am when I came here. I've been here 4 full seasons now. Told Francesco 2 years, 4 years. I got to tell you, like anybody else thinking about this team this year, I had a lot of thoughts about my future. But right now, I'm getting a I will what makes sense. So I'm at
might be for your organization and for him to get that fresh start with this new group of players coming in? Is that something that you could see could be very helpful for the team?
Yeah, he's been disappointing, obviously. I think there's a lot of good things he did. You know, he tried to become a two-way player, and he's tried to do the things that it ultimately takes to win as a team, but his production is down so much. It's difficult, right? I believe that if he puts the work in the summer, it's the same as anything people do in life. Preparation is the key to success. And I don't believe he's put enough preparation in at this point to be the player he needs to be. But he's young enough, he's capable of doing it. And if he does the things he's told to do, he has a chance to succeed here. But if he doesn't, you know, the GM vision. But you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. You're damned if you trade the guy because he could go and take off again. And then, or you could decide, no, he's going to do it here, and he doesn't. So it's a very tough decision. But I do feel confident that Petey has the ability that he can bounce back. And he doesn't have to be a guy who gets 110 points. Even just a point a game will be enough as this team grows and becomes a better team. It'll be enough for this team to be successful. But he's got to get to that, and he's got to work at it.
In your mind, with his contract, is it with the salary cap up, is that something doable though, that you could, if you could move him? Do you think it's something that could happen if
I don't know, because I haven't looked into it. It's not my job to look into. I'm sure that's going to be a key point for the new guy that comes on board. He's gonna want to know what's going on with this guy. And he's
Just to follow up on your answer about your future, your upcoming search for a new general manager, in the back of your mind as you open this process, to what extent will you be looking for, to what extent will you be looking for someone to potentially fill your shoes?
Yeah, I'm not worried about myself. It's more about what's best for the Canucks. We're going to look for a guy with good integrity that wants to buy into what the direction of the team is, which is a rebuild. That's going to be very important. No shortcuts on the rebuild. Buy into that and have the right to make his own decision. We want a guy, and it could be a first-year guy. We're going to open the process up to guys that haven't been GMs in this league and potential different ideas and try to take this team forward. So for me, it's more about what that can about me.
In naming, have in your mind and sort of identifying that person through the process?
I'm going to want ownership in the interviews, not necessarily the initial ones that we'll do Zoom calls, because my guess is we'll end up doing quite a few. But once it gets narrowed down to a smaller group, 3 or 5 guys, I would really want ownership to be in that. And they have, you know, Francesco has the right to ask whatever he wants or be part of it or just sit and listen. And it's important to have his input on it.
Since the trade deadline, you know, you're probably not on a lot of group texts, but you know, they talk about it being buzzing and they've gotten closer than they ever have in their time here. Whether or not those vibes translate to anything in the future, we'll see, but it kind of indicates that things were pretty bad. How did it get that bad? Not on the ice, in the room.
I'm probably not going to answer your question because I'll end up pointing fingers at people. And I don't like to do that, but it was really bad. And since the trade deadline, and since the young character energy players have come in here and stepped up, okay, to bring that energy in the room, the chemistry and the culture in the Canucks dressing room over the last 5 weeks is the best it's been since. This group is tightly knit. Good veterans left here, good mentors, very good young character players. Got a number of good young players coming. So this team's going in the right direction. How long that takes, I don't know. I would only be guessing.
Two-part question. If you take a long time on this search, are you worried you lose Ryan? And secondly, why not make a bigger change in whoever you bring in as GM, not having to saddle them with making a decision on the current coach, just giving them a fresh slate?
Because he may like the current coach. And I think respectfully, we should give our coach that chance. You know, we can talk about different things about what happened with the team, but as long as I've been in this game, this coach has been dealt the hardest hand to deal with. And this is a very difficult year. So that's why I want to be respectful and give both the new GM and the coach the chance to see what they think of each other.
Jim, obviously the new GM is going to have impact on everything in hockey operations. But in the meantime, what's the status of some of your senior people like Cammie and Emily, you know, Todd Harvey and scouting department? Are they all still under contract?
Yes. Yeah, they are. And there won't be any other changes unless somebody leaves on their own. I didn't answer all Farhan's question, worried about losing RJ. He's under contract, so he won't leave. I know some people think we turned down permission to Nashville. They never requested permission from us. Somebody made that story up. And this process until we get to the end, we will not, if somebody requests permission now, not granted. We will not until our process is over. Yeah.
I remember your future and, you know, whether you're going to retire, I don't know if it was phrased that way. And you said that you're actually not really happy with the way things have gone on.
Yeah.
Go on it if things were.
Despite the way things look right now, and you look at the standings, 58 points, can't win games at home, and all the things everybody's frustrated with, I believe this organization's in a very good place to move forward now. Talk about the culture and the chemistry and the young players that are here and the young players in key positions. Got good young goalies coming. We got good young defense. Now the forwards have to get built up. So I feel that I haven't done as good a job as I would have liked to, and I would have wished we were in a stronger place by now. But where I'm at in my life now, I can do whatever I want and be very comfortable. And I like this franchise a lot. and I want to do what's right for them. So if I feel comfortable that we have a good, strong person in place and maybe even potentially add 2 people over time, I would feel comfortable making a decision to leave at some point in time.
2 more here, Carol, CBC.
Jim?
Yep.
Hi. You said that experience isn't going to be a deciding factor in who you choose to be the new GM. What are the qualities that are the deciding factors? What specific things are you looking for?
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is experience counts, but you can look at experience in different ways. When I talk about experience, you have a guy that's been a GM in the NHL for a few years or a number of years. That's an experienced guy. But there's guys that haven't been in the NHL, but they've done a lot of things in hockey that they still have experience. And that's what we have to see in these interviews. Who is that guy? Now, 3 of those teams are already pretty much through their rebuild. Every one of those teams had a year just points in the 50s. Okay, so this is not anything different from what rebuilding teams do. Where does it go here? How quick does it get better, and better next year and the following year after that? But like I've said a few times in here, this team is positioned. It's got the foundation and the structure to do that. And by the way, a lot of that credit goes to Patrik Allvin.
And then to follow up on that, we saw Sonny Mehta hired as the Devils' new GM yesterday. Heard Keith Pelly talking a lot about analytics and data in the Maple Leaf search. How important is that element for you? Is it at the top of the list or just one component?
You know, I've been around a long time. I'm an old-time hockey guy. And analytics come in and lots of guys didn't want to use it. And I did. And I believe in it. We don't have to have a new GM that's going to use the analytics because we have a great analytics department here in the Canucks. And it's so helpful. It makes decisions and everything so.
Here, the turn this team took.
Well, I certainly understand how they feel. And they have, but this year, that's pretty impressive. And my message is that this is going to be an exciting team going forward. And you're going to get that work ethic that you've seen of late. Now that the chemistry's in place and these more and more young guys come
Here. All right, there we go. There was the press conference from Jim Rutherford. A lot to unpack there. But if you're just joining, feel free to answer the poll question I have here up at the top. Was firing Patrik Allvin the right move by the Vancouver Canucks? You can type 1 in the chat for yes, or you can type 2 in the chat for no. Go ahead and vote and let me know what you guys think on the firing of Patrik Allvin. On that note, I'm actually going to bring up the press release that they had for that because we didn't really dive in. I mean, Jimmy talked about it, but we didn't really get our thoughts on it. So I'm just going to bring that up. For those in the chat, Harry, good to see you. I don't know if Harry's still here. I also had Calvin here. Steve, I'm not sure if you guys are all still in here, but let me. All right, let me bring this up. All right, let's see here. Patrik Allvin's time with the Vancouver Canucks has come to an end. First reported by Swedish newspaper Aftonbladet late Thursday night. The Canucks fired Allvin as the team's general manager. I would like to thank Patrik for all his hard work over the past 4 seasons, said Canucks president of Hockey Ops Jim Rutherford. Under his guidance, we have accumulated a lot of good young talent, and he has helped us lay the foundation of our rebuild. This season was disappointing for everyone in the organization, and we understand how frustrating it was for those who care about the team. Moving forward, our goal will be to continue to bring in younger players who can grow together with our current group and form our next competitive core. The move isn't completely unexpected, as Sportsnet's Nick Caprio said on March 30th that Allvin himself didn't expect to survive beyond this season. Mixed reports have surfaced since then, including the assertion that the organization had not yet made any decision on changes in management and coaching staff. Obviously, we heard from Rutherford himself that he literally, or I should say officially, made the decision around 24 hours ago. So he officially made the decision to let Allvin go around noon yesterday. That is when he actually said that he talked to Francesco Aquilini, and then obviously, reached out to Allvin and gave him the news that he would be letting him go. Hired by the Canucks on January 26, 2022, Allvin helped the team make the playoffs just once in 4 seasons. While the Canucks had a season to remember in 23-24, the franchise has taken a nosedive ever since. That culminated in a hellish 25-26 season, which saw the Canucks sink to last place in the NHL standings with a 25-49-8 record. Canucks posted the 3rd worst points percentage, .354, in franchise history this season, equaling the mark set by the Mark Messier era team in 98-99. Only 2 Canucks seasons with worse point percentages were from their expansion era in 71-72 and 72-73. Changes could extend beyond the GM, while insider reports appear to indicate that Rutherford's job as president is safe. Adam Foote's status is less clear. There are also reports indicating that sweeping changes could be coming to the team's scouting staff. And of course, we heard Rutherford say, he's going to let whoever the new GM is going to be to decide on the fate of Adam Foote. Obviously, he even actually mentioned, Ryan Johnson. I know Harry earlier mentioned, Ryan Johnson. I do think Ryan Johnson should be the next GM. I mean, why not, promote from within? And I also feel as though Ryan Johnson has absolutely earned the right and the opportunity to be the next GM of the Vancouver Canucks. And that's, at least just in my opinion, I think he's earned it with the way he's run things down in Abbey. And I mean, who knows? There could be other candidates. We don't know just yet. Obviously, Ryan Johnson is the lone candidate that people are thinking about and talking about right now, because he is, from within, and they feel as though he should be the one to succeed Patrik Allvin. But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the chat who you guys believe the next GM should be for the Vancouver Canucks. Let me know in the chat, and then let's take a look at something else here. We'll stay on the Daily Hive. Let's take... Here, let's look at this. Weapons. I'm going to try and look up what some of the players said. So we haven't had a chance to talk about that.
Warfare and just disappointment.
That's sure good to see you.
How's it going?
What have you been up to? Can you bring us up to speed on just sort of your health and well-being and how that's going to impact things here moving forward through the summer and to next year?
Yeah. It's been a challenging couple of years for me, for sure. Mental warfare and just disappointment. We kind of knew some of the issues that I was having. It is such a major, you're trying to play through things and find a way to navigate through some of that without having to take the drastic measures that we ended up taking.
But, you know, I think at a certain point, we just realized that I wasn't really able to, one, stay healthy, and two, I wasn't really able to play at the standard that I'm used to playing at. So, yeah, we sat down as a group, sat down with Jim and our medical staff, and made the decision that this was kind of the best thing for me moving forward. And yeah, it's been a little bit of a tough stretch here the last 2 months, just kind of with the rehab and a lot of downtime. My wife's been carrying the load at home. She's been fantastic, kind of keep me going. And yeah, I mean, I'm super excited for what is kind of ahead. You know, like I said, this is going to address pretty much everything that I've dealt with in the past, and being able to kind of build it up from the ground up and start fresh is really exciting for me. And definitely have kind of a new sense of vigor in my approach moving forward.
And we really haven't had a chance. I think it was January when you last were available. Since then, obviously, the team has signaled rebuild. Connor's been traded, Tyler, others. Just a thought on where this organization is and your role and willingness to be a part of trying to build it back up.
Yeah, I mean, I've said that I want to be here since the day I got drafted, regardless of what that looks like. It's obviously this year wasn't good enough from our perspective. A lot of things happened. I do think that we have a better team than what we showed this year. I think that we have a lot of really good pieces. I think you know, the last probably 2 weeks you've kind of seen some talking about being cultivated and just the willingness to play for each other and kind of building that camaraderie in the room, and guys sticking up for each other and hanging out outside the rink. And I don't see a lot of the stuff that goes on off the ice, but there's been significant changes in that front as well the last couple of weeks, and different guys just stepping up in leadership roles. When you lose Mizey, you lose Gar, Huggy early in the year, guys have to step up, and I think the last couple of weeks you've seen guys take strides in that area and commit to kind of what the bigger picture looks like moving forward. And we have a lot of young energy in the room, and I think that's really exciting. And you know, it's been tough not being around and being able to kind of help with that and be around it, but I'm certainly looking forward to you know, being a part of it, you know, come next season.
Brock, coming to you with this one, as you're the longest tenured on this panel. Can you just react to the news today about Patrik being dismissed?
Yeah, it obviously sucks, and you know, I definitely think that we have to take part of the blame too, because obviously it wasn't good enough this year, and you know, it's just unfortunate, and it's part of the business. And you know, he's been great to me, and he's been great to a lot of people, and you know, I wish him nothing but the best.
And as someone who's been with this club for such a long time, how do you personally approach a rebuild as a player?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the first time we've said we're going through rebuild here, and you know, it's obviously been a long year, a lot of change, but kind of what Thatcher said, we got a lot of young guys, young good pieces, and you know, I feel like, you know, they've definitely matured from, you know, a few months ago. I feel like we've tried to set a standard and try to build on something, and these guys have shown up to the rink every day working hard and really push to get better. And you know, we've kind of seen that this last little bit, and you know, I think that's exciting for me and exciting moving forward.
PD, I probably speak on behalf of everybody to just offer sympathies and support for what you and Caitlin have been through, and hope things get better, and yeah, just that you're able to move forward as a family. I want to ask you just how difficult it has been for you to separate all of that and play through all of that and try to stay focused through all of that this year.
Thank you for that. It's been hard. There's a lot of things with. God. No, it's just been just hard with. See how it affected both of us, obviously, but mostly for Caitlin, that's been the hardest.
I want to ask this correctly because I don't want you to think it's coming from a place of criticism about points or production or anything like that. I remember Brock a couple years ago went through a lot of loss and a lot of challenges and considered that maybe a change might be good. And in the end, it didn't happen for himself. And I know he felt better about it at the end that it didn't happen. Have you ever had that thought, again, just from your own perspective? You've been through a lot here, injuries, what you're going through with your family, all of it. Have you ever thought that just a change might be good for you? Nobody else, just you.
No, I mean, I like it here. This feels like home. Signed here for a reason. We are in a tough spot. None of us are happy with the season, but like Thatcher and Demmer said, Thatcher and Brock said, we got good pieces here. So just trying to build it up and try to build a good team.
A couple of questions for you, Thatcher. I think we get a sense from the time you miss how hard it is physically. How hard is it mentally to have to keep building yourself back up?
Yeah, I mean, it's brutal. Quite frankly, time and time again is it's tough, and I have great friends. The guys sitting up here with me right now, they've been huge supports for me. Other guys on the team too, my wife, medical staff. Like, you do need a village just to keep you going. And like I said earlier, I think that this last operation that I had is going to be the answer for all that. So it's kind of like that one last time going through all this. Hopefully, I mean, obviously it's a game and you don't know, what the future holds as far as injuries. Anyone could get hurt any night, but just some of the nagging stuff I had, hopefully kind of dissipates, and we've addressed the larger picture. And yeah, that's kind of where my mind frame is at right now. I'm not playing and kind of going through this. I feel that passion and that fire kind of building every day, and watching to see what these guys have done, leadership wise, and what they've been building the last few weeks and months here. I've never really felt this excited to play here and be a part of, building something next year.
And since you mentioned leadership, it's obviously hard to do when you're not playing. What role do you think there is for you there with all the young guys on this team to be a leader?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm, probably in the back half of my career here, and like you said, it's tough when I'm not in the room every day. But like I said, I'm so proud of how guys have stepped up, with the departures of other guys, and it's super inspiring for me to see other guys do it, and it makes you want to become better in those areas and become a better leader, become a better man. Just the invigorating spirit that kind of comes along with that. So obviously I can't sit here and say I have to do X, Y, and Z to become a great leader, but I definitely feel inspired to take strides in that area. And yeah, it's exciting.
Two for me, one for Phil, and another one for Thatch. I have a question, Thatch, about the medical side of everything. They say for goaltenders, hip is the pivot point, and a lot of things transcend from there. What makes you more confident in the sense that, as you mentioned, you've identified the problem, and how will it change your off-season approach when you train?
Well, I mean, the last 2 years I was playing with 0 degrees of internal rotation in the hip. So everything above and below is going to kind of take the hit. It's the back, it's the knees, it's the groins, trying to do too much work. And yeah, I mean, I've already seen incredible strides in kind of my movement and my mobility. And, this will be a unique summer. I still have a ton of work to do. I'm excited for that work. I'm excited to kind of build it up from the ground up and get back to where I was, that year that we were in the playoffs and the year that I felt like myself. So, yeah, I'm excited to kind of dig in. I'm going to stay here in Vancouver the entire summer, make sure that, we're going about this the right way and we're not messing around. So, yeah, definitely excited to be in the trenches this summer and take it head on.
Phil, you've been in the league a long time. You played with a lot of D-men. You're paired with Zeev this year. What did you see in his growth, Phil, and what impressed you about the steps he's already taken as a 20-year-old?
Yeah, I mean, he got better over the course. He got traded here, and it's nice to see he is listening and try to learn every game. And I think he did a really good job at that.
PD, when you first came into the league, there seemed to be like a real drive to be not just the best you could be, but one of the best players in the league. Last couple seasons haven't gone the way you would hope. How are you changing your approach this off season to get back to being that dynamic player that can be a top forward for this team?
Yeah, that's what I want to be. I want to be the best player out there, and obviously it hasn't gone the way I wanted it the last 2 seasons or a half, but it's like trying to change up see what felt good, what not felt good, change up my summer training, and yeah, go from there. I know I have a lot of good hockey in me, and I haven't showed it, but I'm confident in myself, but definitely will change up my training a little bit with certain things.
There's been a lot of talk about the change in leadership with the players departing. What role do you see for yourself in a rebuild as being part of the leadership and being a mentor to younger players?
Yeah, definitely more on the quiet side on the leadership. So I'm just trying to lead by example. But yeah, like these guys been into it's been a big change with a lot of departures from a lot of leaders in this team. But I think all of us and these guys been stepping up with that. So it's a lot of building moving forward. But I'm excited for it.
2 more. We got Patrik and
Brock, looking at obviously the heights you've seen, the lows you've seen, to get back to the heights, what does this team need more of?
I mean, that's a great question, but I think it's hard to answer because, this is the first time we've really said we're going through a rebuild, so it's going to take time. I think, seeing the younger guys continue to strive to get better each and every day, show up to the rink with the right mindset. I think they've done a great job of that. The older guys coming to the rink every day, continuing to have a good mindset, be positive. Got to go in the gym. You got to work hard. You got to work on your game on the ice. You got to continue. I think just kind of setting this new culture. Like we got to hold each other accountable. We got to make sure that everyone's coming to the rink wanting to get better. And I think we really try to do that once the trade deadline passed. We really try to hold each other accountable. Make some rules around the rink and really just try to get something set in stone and kind of build off of that. So I think we kind of took some steps in the right direction, but I think, this summer is really important, not just, for the young guys, but it's important for everyone. Like we cannot be set, like what happened this year it was rough, and no one should be going into summer thinking like, oh, I had a good year. Like we all need to get better. We all need to have the right mindset coming back in the fall.
And Thatcher, I mean, surgery done, what you wanted. When you look at the road you had to take, was there ever a moment you're going, oh, this is a big challenge? Like, do I really?
I mean, I was flirting with, what does the rest of this look like for me? Talking to different professionals, and I mean, I don't feel that way now. I'm ready to go now. I'm going to be in a great spot in a couple months here. So, yeah, I mean, I was touched on kind of the mental side of things, and yeah, it's just kind of that overlying disappointment and watching the guys kind of go through what happened this year and not feel like I could really contribute or help out. I think, I think that when I'm playing the way I can play, I can help, kind of get through some times, some rough times. And, yeah, so it was definitely tough. It's been tough 2 years, I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But I think just my willingness to kind of get through that and stay committed to these guys up here and to the city and to the organization. Like I said, my fire and my passion's just been growing and growing the last, few weeks and few months here. So yeah, just excited to get back on the ice.
Phil, as the core of this team transitions and the leadership group transitions, they're going to be looking for a new captain, and your name has been mentioned as a possibility. I know management thinks that, you know, Jim and Adam think the world of you. Is that a responsibility that you would welcome, wearing the C?
I mean, yeah, would be an honor, but I'm not thinking about it at all. Or
Brock, we saw what happened to Patrik today. Adam's name has certainly been mentioned a lot. I know he did the player meetings with you guys today. What would you say if you were advising Jim on Adam and the future of the head coach here in Vancouver?
That, I mean, I don't really know where to go with that. I think that, you know, a lot of change happened this year, and you know, we had a lot of injuries at the start of the year. Like we had centers playing out of their position. You know, we didn't have Petey for a while. You know, it was a rough start to the year, and guys were having to play positions they didn't want to play, and then we, you know, got a ton of new guys on the team, and then we had to kind of teach the structure and the systems we're trying to play. And you know, it wasn't easy on Adam. Like it was hard, and you know, he adjusted well. He came into the rink all the time with a great energy, great mindset, and you know, he was positive. You know, there's times he had to give it to us, which is fair. But overall, I thought he did a great job of, you know, coming to the rink and really pushing us to be better each and every day, no matter the circumstances.
All right, we're gonna take a listen to the next one. I believe this one is Ratu, EP, Hoglander, and Tolopilo.
Start with Latu. You established yourself as a legitimate soft in the National Hockey League. So that part of your game obviously is something that, you know, you've developed to this level. What about the rest of your game this season? How do you look back at this season?
Yeah, well, I think going into the year, I really wanted to just make myself an NHL player. I feel like I did accomplish that being up all year. But yeah, I think the next step is just to become a good player. And yeah, I feel like the face-offs are definitely a strength, and I can use that on the PK and in different situations. But yeah, definitely want to improve my skating and you know, become even more physical and just bring some more offense into my game.
How do you improve your skating over an off season like this one?
Well, yeah, this off season there's going to be a bunch of time compared to like last off season and going into it fully healthy, which is great. But yeah, I definitely got plans in mind, and I feel like the last couple off seasons I've had a good thing going. I feel like I've definitely gotten faster and made my skating better. But obviously now even just to ramp it up. But yeah, going back home and have my skating coach there, and then might have something set up in Sweden, hopefully to work out with the skating coach that the Sedins had too. So I think that'd be a good opportunity too.
Nikita, we heard from Thatcher earlier today about his rehab and coming back. We've also heard from Kevin Lankinen. You once told us you're so grateful to be here and nothing's given to you at this level. What do you make of your season? What can you take from your games here this season?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's kind of how I can say, like, my first kind of full year here. You know, I got played like around 20, 21 games. Like, and I think I showed people that I could play here. And like, of course, there's some like more steps to do, you know, like some like more progress in my games. But like, you know, like I've to kind of give me like confidence for myself too, that I've seen like that I can play against like top teams, against like top players, and I can handle that. So like, and like just like, you know, just focus on the next steps, you know, have a great summer, you know, like get better and like become a full-time NHLer. Yeah.
Elias, you had an emerging season this year. I know you're pretty happy with your physical side of the game. Maybe you can talk a bit about that. I also want you to tell us a little bit about Zeev. I mean, you obviously got to know him when he came here in the trade, and he's taken some pretty quick steps at a pretty quick time. How impressed are you by him?
Yeah, I think all of us is really impressed. It's going to be a big piece for this team. Yeah, the upcoming years, and yeah, it's a great guy and great guy to have around us.
A quick follow-up with Niels. Fractured ankle in the preseason. I know this is a unimaginable season for you. How do you, when you think back, how hard was it on you, and what can you do to maybe just refocus in the off season and come back stronger?
Yeah, it was a tough start. I mean, you always want to have a good start when you come in the season, and for me to have the surgery and broken foot the first preseason game was tough. But yeah, he's gonna look back or redo the season and see what I can do better this summer, and just work my ass off and come back better next year.
Elias, the team as a whole struggled in the defensive zone, gave up a lot of goals. What did you learn through that adversity about your own game and what you need to do to take the next step for next season?
I think of myself. I think when I close quick and moving my feet, I'm playing good. And I think when we close quick with the first guy, I think it just gives everyone else something to read off. And yeah, I think that's one thing I'm gonna focus on next year. And yeah.
And what's the biggest focus of your off-season training? What's the number one thing you're targeting?
I think just maybe mix up my workout a little bit. Yeah, as Hagi said, work my ass up this summer. It's a big summer for me, and come prepared for next year.
All right. Let's take a look at the next one. Next one is going to be Rossi, Hedel, Ogren, and Carlson.
We'll start with you. Take us back to that day at UBC. We were there watching, and like, what goes through your mind when you take a puck in the face and, you know, just kind of run-of-the-mill practice drill like that?
Yeah, it sucks. Like, not just this, but everything I battled with last 2 years. And then finally, I feel like myself again in year 2023. And yeah, I got hit with back to my face with one-timer, and yeah, several fractures in my face, and yeah, that's end of season. So wasn't good feeling at all. But yeah, what can I do with that now? And I took an advantage of the time what I had last month and a half, and I was preparing already like an off season for next year.
So we saw you skating with the group a few times here in the last week or two. How important is that for you, just to get some ice sessions under you as you head into the off season? And like, are you fully planning to be back here at training camp, good to go and try it again?
Yeah, I told you I fell already in February. I fell like 2 years ago, and yeah, there's been so much what I went through last 2 years, which was very complicated. But yeah, I feel very good now. I was happy that I could join the group and skate with them, and yeah, I'm really 100% confident coming to the training camp, and that everything's gonna be okay.
Question for Liam. What have you made of your time here? You've been very noticeable since you came over in the trade. What do you make of your time here, and where can you take your game next year?
Yeah, I think it's been great for me coming here, playing a lot, different situations, and yeah, just getting the opportunity to play with good players, and yeah, just play a lot and show that I can play at this level. So I mean, it's been even though we struggle as a team, I think it's been good for my development to play at this level.
Just a follow-up question. You probably know Zeev better than most guys. What do you make of what he's been able to accomplish here, and the potential of him to turn into an elite defenseman in this league?
Yeah, I mean, like all you guys can see, he's unbelievable player, and he's young, and he's only going to get better and better every year. And for every game he's playing, he's yeah, he's so skilled, and I think with some more experience, he's yeah, he's going to be one of the best defensemen in this league.
Linus, your rookie season was a long time coming. What did it mean to finally break through to the NHL, and what can you take from this season going forward?
No, I mean, it's been a grind. I've been here for 4 years now, and finally I took the step to play in the NHL. Something I worked hard for. So I mean, that's I'm really proud of that. So then take away from the season, I mean, it's been a lot of ups and downs as a team, and for me too. So. I mean, I haven't really think about it that much, but I mean, during the summers, I'm probably going to be pretty happy I'll play during the season.
And Marco, coming into this team partway through the season, what did you see from this team when you arrived, and what do you believe you can bring to this team next season?
Yeah, I think you can see it's a young group here. They're really like, I think we can be a really good team in the future. I think there's still some things we have to improve, but like I said, it's a young team. Everyone is learning a lot. So it's important, you know, just stick together and learn from it, and try to make a step into the right direction.
Linus, organization made a move, and I know you've been in the organization long enough to have an appreciation for the hockey ops department. With Patrik Allvin being let go today, how much do you feel for that? Because I'm sure you've had some interaction with him.
No, I mean, I feel bad for him. Like, he's been a great guy. He's always been supportive, and yeah, I mean, he's given me a chance up here, and I'm really appreciate that. So I mean, it's tough, and I think he's a great guy. So of course you feel bad for him when this kind of thing happens.
Amid a lot of uncertainty, what do you make of your time with Adam Foote as well? He not only gave you the opportunity to move up the lineup. How good was he for your development?
No, I mean, he's been huge for my development. Like, I'm really thankful for to all the coaching staff to give me opportunity to play at this level, and like you said, even get some games in the higher up in the lineups too. So I mean, I'm really thankful, and yeah, I think they done a great job to help me to get to where I am today.
Marco, kind of a roller coaster of a year since for the time that you've been here. As things changed in the later part of the season, and the results started to come and things got better, what did you see and feel on the ice and in the room that sort of caused that change?
Yeah, it's been a crazy season, of getting hurt and then getting traded, getting hurt again, and with a new team. For sure, it was a really hard season. But yeah, I think like I said before, it's a great group of guys, and we're all competitors. Like, we all want to win, nobody wants to lose. So it's important, just understand the situation we're in and just go from there.
Thanks. And for any of you going to Switzerland for the World Championships?
No.
All right, the next one is
Start with Latu. You established yourself as
guess one we already watched. Let's see here. We'll go with the DeBrusque, Douglas, Joseph Forbort one.
Derek, where to begin? From day to day and maintenance and all season, can you just walk us through the ordeal that has been the last 6 months?
Yeah, kind of started before training camp. Started having some hip issues. Was able to get through training camp with a cortisone injection. That kind of wore off. Ended up doing like a PRP injection in Toronto. Had a pretty bad reaction to that. And then kind of once that calmed down, we were just trying to rehab, tried a bunch of things. And then it just kind of got to the point where I had to get the labral tear in my hip fixed. And so I had surgery for that. And yeah, just been rehabbing now. So.
And what does this mean moving forward? Like, will you be okay next season? And I know you're out of contract, but do you plan on continuing to play? Like, are you going to be able to continue to play?
Yeah, I'd like to try and maybe grind out a couple more, depending how it feels. And just talking to the surgeon, he said it's gonna solve a lot of the issues that I'd kind of had the last couple of years with it. So hopefully makes a big difference and can try and continue playing.
Can you give us a sense of just what this season was like for you, Derek, in terms of working through that mental side and contending with the options that you just described in terms of continuing to play?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. Like when you're doing everything you can to try and get back and help the boys. It's just not going the way you want it to, and the team's kind of struggling, and you want to be out there helping, and so that part sucks. But yeah, I have a good group of guys, a lot of good friends on the team that kind of help you get through it, and yeah.
Curtis, you were claimed right at the deadline and sort of got a couple months in, and believe you're a UFA with the sort of group 6 designation going into this summer. How do you sort of reflect on what your 2 months here have looked like and what this summer looks like for you and your professional future?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really cool coming kind of on the other side of the coin with Tampa. It was a really older team, a lot of veterans, a lot of mentors, and then coming here to Van, and it was a lot younger group with a lot more to grow, and it was cool to be a part of that, and awesome to make close friends and stuff with guys on the team, and I think there's a really bright future here. So yeah, it's just the same kind of thing going in the summer, and continue to grind and get better and improve every day, that kind of thing.
Jake, so at the start of the season, there was a lot of talk about, your team maybe not sticking up for each other as much. We saw kind of a shift of that over the last couple of weeks. So what have you noticed about that shift, and can you explain kind of why that shift has happened this late in the season?
Yeah, I think we just got tighter as a team. I think obviously there's been a lot of changes that have happened. The trade deadline, even getting a guy like Dougie, helps bring that little shit out there. But true. You see different guys in different roles. When the opportunity presents itself, go right after it. So I think there's a lot of things that go with that. I think we just got closer, and I think guys just stepped up. Knowing that it could be anybody, and obviously having different personnel.
On the blue line, there were a lot of keys came into the lineup. Of group of younger players, how they evolved over the season.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough position to come in and perform when you're young and jump in this league right away. But I do think coming in with guys like Roney, Marcus, Mizey, Forbes, being around and talking to these guys, I think it helps to have some veteran perspective on things, especially when you're coming in like that as a young D. But it takes experience, it takes time experience, it takes the desire to get better, and I feel like those guys have it, and it's fun to see. It kind of brings you back to when we were just starting in the league, and you had that that first games mentality of the fun of it all, and it brings us to to our young self, and it's exciting for the future here, and it was fun to see them learn every day, and being able to be a part of that was phenomenal. So there's a good bright future at the blue line here, and it was fun to be a part of it.
Jake, I know this has been a year unlike any other with your experiences in Boston. You're getting to an age now where contractually and just where you're at in your career, it's all about winning. And we know that's going to be a real challenge here in the next few years. Do you need some time just to maybe step back a bit here now in the offseason to maybe reflect on what happened this year? More importantly, can you embrace what's going to happen here in the rebuild? Are you part of it?
Yeah, I think after every season, you look back and you try to figure out what went right, what went wrong. Obviously, every year is different, and this one was tough on all of us, young or old. I think it's easy to embrace a rebuild when you have lots of, like you said, potential guys in the back end there, and some younger forwards that really took steps. People didn't even really think before the year they'd be on the team, and they were arguably our most consistent guys. But yeah, I mean, I always take a couple steps back to look at how the year went. Obviously, this year will be one where I'm going to get away from the game, I think, for a little bit, and then I guess readjust just in terms of my own personal training plan.
Just Jake, following on that, looking in the bigger sense, what does this team need? What does it need the most to get sort of moving forward towards not being in a rebuild anymore?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the question this summer. Obviously, there's changes, there's things that are happening. No matter if we're 31st next year or 30th next year, we need to improve. I think the biggest thing is it's not one necessarily fix. I think there's lots of things that have to go right into a winning team. I've seen it. Was kind of I got used to it, but there's not one thing. It's a puzzle. You need every guy to have a piece of it, and I think that's where guys going into the summer, myself included, we need to figure out where that puzzle pieces are and how to build and improve as a group. I think at the end of the year, obviously it's kind of hard to judge, but we're playing against teams that are playing for playoff spots, and to see the young guys play intense and physical and produce as well. I think those are things that they can take going in the summer. For us older guys, it's about getting back to the playoffs and or getting to a better place where we're not last. We need to improve, and I think that should be the focus. But I would say it's more small things. It's not, no one's going to come in and save the day. Definitely will help, but we all need to be better.
But it's a project, and then you've got your head around, and something you want to be involved in. You want to be here. You want to push it forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's exciting. Obviously, I think that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's. And there's exciting new talent, things of that nature. That's the position we're in. That's what the constellation of this year. It'd be pretty cool to play with somebody of that caliber. So that's how I look at that. There's a lot of potential there.
Jake, I guess 2 years ago when you came here, you didn't think you would be here like this in this situation. And this year, I mean, it fell apart pretty quick. As like your mindset to change, or how hard was that on veteran guys, you think, that led to the way you guys played, that it just imploded on you here this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's hard. Yeah, I mean, it's not what I expected. At the same point, if I played better, we might be in a different position. I think when the highs and lows of the year, but just in general, how it was all going. It's hard for every guy, whether you're in the lineup, out of the lineup, whether you're injured or whether you're playing every game and struggling. We're all part of it as a group and together. You try to stick with each other. It brings you closer. It forces you to, or else it just gets worse. So, there's only one way for us to go. We have to apply those. I think it's a pretty big summer for myself. I'm kind of at that point in my career where, it humbles you a little bit.
Jake, you touched on it. It was an unusual season for you personally. You end up among the league leaders in power play goals, but not among the league leaders in total goals. What do you need to do more at 5-on-5 at even strength to, obviously you're scoring goals on the power play. You're one of the top guys in the league this year. What's the rush off in zone possession?
Yeah, I think that's what was lacking this year. We didn't have much rush chances, and if we did, I think I was the one passing it. I think that obviously it's been talked about. I've obviously tried to figure it out this year, but in terms of just being able to finish, post, whatever, all the excuses, I kept saying the hockey gods all year because what was going on. But if you go down to the bare bones of how I score goals and how I have throughout my entire career, it's off of rush chances, it's off of second chance rebounds, it's off of kind of goals that I score on the power play and around the net. And 5-on-5, we didn't really produce much of that. If you look at the actual games, there wasn't pucks arriving 5-on-5. There was just not a lot of volume. In terms of rush chances, it felt like, at least for me, it was, it wasn't that many chances where it had. And if it did, I didn't bury, or I missed, or it didn't connect. It was a perfect storm of what everything could go wrong with for me, 5-on-5. And I think that's where it goes. But obviously, since I've been here, my power play goals have been pretty high. And, that's, I guess, a positive thing. But in my career, I usually average 4 or 5 for the 7 seasons before I was here, or 6, I think it was. But so I'm not worried about it in terms of that. I just think it's anomaly, and also different things that you can't control, and then things that I can't control, I'll definitely work on. I got to work on my shots. I used to be able to beat goalies clean, and it felt like this year lots of my shots just wasn't going in. It's just simple things like that. But it was nice, I guess, to get a couple, but I'm not worried about my 5-on-5 at all.
Well, and you talked about there not being a lot of rush chances overall. Is there something that needs to change in terms of systems, in terms of how the team plays in the defensive zone to create those transition chances?
Well, yeah, I mean, we were trying to, obviously, we had, like I said earlier, lots of changes here, different guys, younger guys come in, and at the same point, we were defending a lot of times. So anytime that you're in your defensive zone longer than you have to be in this league, you don't have energy to go the other way usually. And I think that's kind of hand in hand with that, but something that we talked about, obviously, but definitely our breakouts throughout the neutral zone. And, I thought our transition game actually was pretty decent at some points in terms of neutral zone, but you look at all the high flying teams in the league, it's all speed, and that's what we need.
All right, let's see which one's the next one. Why does it keep going back to that one? Okay, I believe this is the last one. Oh, this one is Lankinen, Marcus Pettersson, Bluger, and Drew.
Marcus, start with you. Now that 82 games are in the books, we know team struggled defensively, finished dead last in goals against. Can you sort of articulate why it was such a struggle to grasp the defensive system? I'm not just saying you, but collectively, it just felt like this team was chasing all season to meet Adam's expectations of what he wanted you guys to do to be successful.
Yeah, it was a struggle. It was a tough going for us. I think a lot of it was us chasing a mistake with a mistake. Like, we're a young team, right? So it's a struggle that way. And sometimes you try to overdo it and do somebody else's job if you don't. And that's when you start chasing a mistake with a mistake. So we definitely learned a lot. I thought the last little bit we found something, and we started to trust each other a little bit more there. So I think we learned a lot, and we're going to take that with us going into next year.
Teddy, obviously you missed a big chunk of the season, but overall, individually, you had a fairly productive season for the limited number of games you played. How do you look at your year, and can anybody sit there and think that they had a good enough year, I guess?
Good year or whatever. I think it, it's very challenging for a variety of reasons. Injuries being one, the way the results were another one. But I think, it's like any season of life. You go through good phases, you go through bad phases, you go through adversity a lot. So you just try to handle it as best you can and learn and grow from it. And I think it's kind of what you take away from this year is, definitely, I think we all learned a lot about ourselves, about our team, about character, about what it takes to win. So I think if we carry it forward in the right way, regardless of where each of us are, in the future, I think it'll serve us really well.
Couple for me, one for you, Teddy, one for Drew. Teddy, you're a UFA, obviously. I know you want to stay, but you also have to explore your options at where you are in your career. Can you just touch on that? And secondly, you played on a championship team. You know what it takes to go all the way. Not saying you guys are going that direction next year. Beyond just what has to change here, can you go into a little bit more depth about the day-to-day stuff that you have to do to get better as a team?
Yeah, I think for sure. I think, a lot of those things we were missing this year. I think kind of the exciting thing for the team here is, you got a lot of really good young players and a lot of potential. And I think if you grow in the right way, I think, the sky's the limit for this team going forward. But I think as far as like championship team, what it takes to win, I think the daily habits, the professionalism, discipline, not just, half the time, but every day. You show up to work, you're diligent, you're on time, you're prepared. All those things, I think at certain parts of the year we're lacking. I think we lacked a little bit of unity for a good chunk of the year as well, where we didn't fully trust each other, like Marcus said, and that led to some miscommunications or guys not willing to put themselves on the line for the betterment of the team all the time. I think, on a good team, you have a clear identity as a team, you have clear identity as individual players, and each guy is willing to do everything he can to do their job well because they don't want to let their teammates down. And I think that creates a lot of selflessness, and that kind of stuff is contagious. And I think all those positive things that I mentioned are contagious, and it creates a really positive environment and a lot of success for everyone. And the same way, when things goes negative, it's really, really hard to snap out of it and to get things going in the right direction. And then, sorry, the first part about being UFA. Yeah, I mean, but I'd love to come back. Like, we love it here. I love the guys. I think, played with some of these guys for a long time. I think especially the guys, I haven't been here that long, for only 3 years, but the guys that I've been here with, like Phil and Demmer and Brock, we've been through a lot of highs and lows, and I think that bonds you close together. So I value those guys a lot as friends and as people, and really good group of guys, and I'd love to the opportunity to kind of be able to be a part of the group that turns around and has some success here. But like you said, there's a number of factors in play and those kinds of decisions and what happens, and a lot of it's not really up to me. So yeah, see.
Drew, career year, almost 20 goals. What did you learn about yourself this year, and where's there room for growth?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still a lot of room for growth, hopefully. I think coming into this year, I think I wanted to show that I could create more offense and be a more productive player offensively. And I think I did that to some extent, not to the fullest, I would say. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, I scored some goals, but doesn't necessarily feel that great sitting here at the end of the season. I think there's a lot of areas to improve upon for all of us and me as well. So I think it's something that I'll continue to work on. I think we're all going to continue to try to, be hungry this summer and come in, try to change the narrative here next season.
True. Just on Patrik, I mean, he was in that Pittsburgh when you signed, obviously traded for you, signed you here. And what can you say about just Patrik Allvin and from your experience?
Yeah, Patrick's been great to me. Obviously a tough day, tough seeing him go. And, I think when something like that happens, it's sort of a collective responsibility. It kind of falls on all of us. And, unfortunately Patrik is, is on today, but he's been great to me. He gave me.
This team need the most right now to get moving forward?
Right way, he can bring you fuel for not just next year, but for your whole career, because this is obviously something that we don't want to go through again. So I think Teddy touched upon a lot of the topics that we need as a team, as a collective group, just the day-to-day habits, the high standard of compete, discipline, just commitment. I think those are all things that we can elevate. And as a leadership group, that's our job, to raise the bar. And that's kind of what we've been doing here the past couple months after the trade deadline, trying to start a change, because, the best time to start the change was probably 15 years ago, but the next best time is right now. So we wanted to get that going as soon as possible, and hopefully that will bring some better results in the future.
Kevin, I want to build on what you said there about fuel. Can you talk about what the season was like for you personally and how that can build you as a player and as a person moving forward?
Yeah, I think we could sit here all day, talk about, the wins, the losses, and the stats or whatnot. But as an athlete, especially as a goalie, I think it's important to realize that there are many factors that contribute in your end result that aren't necessarily always in your control. So measuring success in the things that you can control, to me, it comes down to my preparation, my compete level. How did I stay healthy throughout, a condensed schedule with the Olympics? What can I learn from the experience in the Olympics, bringing home a medal from there? And even to things like becoming a dad and finding a balance between home and hockey. Those are all things that I can control and I can learn from. And yeah, I think nobody should be feeling good about this year, but at the same time, there's things that you can always look up to and bring the good things about.
I'm sorry, because I know you're losing your voice here, but I've got one more for you. How are you feeling physically heading into the summer?
No, physically, I feel good. There's nothing nothing wrong there. So I can't wait to keep building and come back stronger next year.
Marcus, organizationally, this franchise believes that there are some very good, promising young defensemen. You've been close to them all year. You know what good defensemen league-wide look like. What do you think of, whether it's Zeev or Tom or Elias and what they could be in this league?
I think the future is very promising for them. You see they have all the assets, they have that enthusiasm and wanting to learn every day. And then it comes down to like we all talked about, the habits every day and how to be a pro. I'm going to help them all we can to become that. And but as far as abilities and what they can accomplish and what they can become is should be a lot of excitement for them, and it's a lot of excitement for us too, and be able to help them on their journey. And if they grow the way we want them to grow, like we'll become a really good team in the near future. And so yeah, the future that they have is promising. And if we bear down and put those work habits in and the compete level like these guys were talking about, and we help them along the way, they're only going to get better. So very exciting for them and very exciting for us at the same time for that.
To Marcus or even Teddy, and Teddy, you talked about leadership and what you guys have been trying to establish. Even Kevin, you touched on it as well. Quinn, I think when you guys played Minnesota, I think was talking to Thomas and talked about kind of the drama that's always been around this team for the last few years. How difficult has it been for you guys to navigate through that and try to just take that weight off who's been left here?
For me, or yeah, I mean, I've been here for a little over a year now, so I haven't really seen all that. But it's for him to be in that position is tough. Like he's the guy that everybody looks to, and when stuff like that happens, so tough position. And for us that are here now, like the narrative around this team's got to change, and it's up to us to do that. And that starts with the small things day in and day out that maybe nobody sees, right? So if you do that right, the preparation, that builds confidence in yourself and in your teammates if you prepare well and if you come into work every day with a good mindset. And like Teddy touched on before, the positivity, it's contagious, right? So like when you bring that work ethic and that thing, like keep it simple. It's still hockey we're playing. We all love to play the sport, and if you create those habits and that trickles down, the positivity, all that stuff. So yes, for us, changing the narrative, bringing some good results, but it starts in a simpler way that's hard to do. Do the work when nobody sees it. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Thomas and Carol.
Gentlemen, for all four of you, just are you going to the Worlds?
No. I'm not.
No. And then I'll ask for Drew. When you sort of think about this summer, you're entering the last year of your deal and obviously played a pretty big role on this team this season. How do you sort of approach this summer from a personal improvement perspective and sort of professional perspective? Is there anything extra you want to add to your game?
Yeah, so I think going into the off season, I think it's important for everyone to kind of look at the season as a whole that you just had and try to kind of find some ways that you can improve. I think you want to get better at everything in the summer, but I think it's also a little bit more realistic to try to focus on a few things to really get better on. Last summer I focused a lot on just around the net, trying to get pucks up, trying to be a good finisher around the net. So I think I'll look at the season as a whole, try to find some ways to improve. And I think for me, continuing to improve on, how I see the game, vision and things like that, I think that comes from watching a lot of hockey. I think it's important for all of us to, we have the playoffs coming up to watch now, and we can all learn a lot from those teams. So I think, watching how those teams play and what some of those players do and what makes them successful. I think that's a big key for a lot of players. Like, just because we're going into the off season, and you want to give your body some time to rest, it doesn't mean you need to take a full break away from it. You can still improve by doing things like that. So I think that's something we can all do early on.
So it looks like this will be the last one. We got Bouillon, Valander, and Mixon.
Zeev, maybe we'll start with you, just looking back at this season, what it was from it, and where you're hoping to grow.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it was kind of a roller coaster for me personally, getting traded and, not knowing what's to come. And I think there's been a lot of negatives, but a lot of positives. I think for me personally, it's fun to see how we ended this year and see the guys really start to come together and be excited for next year that, we kind of have that foundation now. So, hopefully we can start strong next year and, build something special here.
What does the off season look like for you?
Yeah, I'll go home for a little bit for sure. Get some sun, relax a little bit on the beach. And, I think right after that, probably just start training and I'll be in Vancouver for a little bit of it. And I think that's just the biggest thing for me, just try to get stronger and focus on my game and get as good as I can get, before next year.
Max, can you talk a little bit about the transition to the wing and when that was floated to you? How did you look at it? Did you embrace that as an opportunity? And do you see yourself and your path forward now at this level as a winger?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was kind of floated to me around the time that we had the center like Keats and Teddy coming back. And, I played a little bit of it last year here, but yeah, for the majority of my 3 seasons, I've been a center. But yeah, I think I have embraced it. And, I think there's chances for me to use more of my speed, especially maybe not having to, work as hard in the D zone and, maybe using my energy to push the pace up ice and getting more foot races. So do I see it as a path forward? And honestly, I feel comfortable with both. And however, I think I had a majority, like in the second half, majority of games were at the wing. And I think I proved that, I probably can be a pretty good winger in this league.
And Tom, we know that as the season went along, there were a few post games after losses where you expressed frustration, and that's obviously just human nature. Will you dwell on this season? Will you sort of remember this season and use it as a baseline so that you're not in this position, or you can do, your part so that you're not in this position? Or do you just turn the page and put this thing in the trash can?
I mean, both yes and no. I think this season has been, very interesting for many different reasons. But I think at the end of the day, it's been a great experience for me. Just kind of like C was saying, has been a lot of stuff that's happened this season, but I think done a good job of kind of pulling through and sticking to the game. And sticking to just trying to get better every day. And I think that's ultimately what's important.
Hey, Zeev, a couple from me. You're accustomed to winning, whether it's under 18 and moving all the way up. You talked about the roller coaster year, but you won it at every different level. And even in Minnesota, you're with a good team. How difficult was this transition in terms of coming to a team that struggles to win most nights?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it's when you're in Minnesota, you have, guys with, the younger guys on the team there have 300, 400 plus games. So it's a completely different team, obviously, right? But I mean, we're all in this together right now, and we're all learning every day from our mistakes. And I think we're learning something new every day too. And I think that just comes with time and experience. And, I think obviously, yeah, the losing sucked, but I think we gave it our all. Like, I think every night we tried our best to win. And Obviously it didn't happen every night, but I think we tried. And I mean, sitting here right now and, going through the year we just had, like, you're not going to sit here and be happy and, be like, oh, everything was good. We put out, we won this game or that game. And I think for us, just not trying to focus on that and more focus on, how do we limit the mistakes we've made? How do we, get better as a team and, find ways to win games our own way. And I think, toward the end there, we started to try to figure that out. And like I said, I think the biggest thing is just trying to take positives and the negatives and use them next year.
You do a lot of things on instinct. Your offensive game speaks for itself. How do you get better in your own zone individually and collectively? You guys spend a lot of time defending.
Yeah, I think, trusting each other, trusting the system. I think personally, sometimes when we get tired or frustrated or whatever it is, you miss your guy or you miss a certain play because your head's somewhere else. I think for me personally, it's just staying focused, staying in the moment, giving all you can in the D zone and, maybe giving that extra 5-10 seconds of going a little bit harder and knowing that if you get the puck, then you're playing offense again. So I think the biggest thing is just trusting each other and trusting the system and, putting belief into that, if we do these things the right way, we'll defend less.
Trying every night becomes a win. That's just what you guys are doing. What do you guys need more of, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, I can speak for me personally. I think, I've always liked to be a consistent player, and I think this, you have a stretch of 5 games where you just feel like you're just out there. So, I think for me personally, it's like bringing the best I can every night, and I think everybody starts to do that as a team. We have the guys in there that are capable of, producing and putting up more goals and defending at a better level. We have 2 great goaltenders. I think obviously Demers out right now, but Lynx was great and Tola was good for us. And it's hard. So I mean, I don't have a clear-cut answer for you, but I think it's just the effort that we continue to just try to put in and just minimize those mistakes and try not to make the same thing twice. And like I said, I think it's just finding ways to win games in our own way. And because we're a young team, it might look different than a team like Minnesota, right? Like everyone's going to play different. Every team plays different. So I think for us, just finding that, that path.
And Max, just looking back at the season, maybe is there a moment when you sort of realize, oh, maybe this season isn't going to go the way we thought it was? And then when did you just feel like you guys were starting to get sort of at least pointed in a direction that was positive?
Yeah, I mean, after we traded Huggy, these guys came in and we won 4 games in a row, and you kind of start looking at the stand and you're like, maybe. And then obviously after Christmas, I think we went on a 11-game losing streak, and you kind of start to hear this guy's getting traded or this is happening, and then you hear the words rebuild, and I think that was definitely a low point in the season. And we obviously kind of saw the writing on the wall that we weren't going to be in the playoffs. And then I think since the trade deadline, I know the results might have not have been at the top, but I can tell you, and I'm sure every guy in here said this, how much closer of a team we were. Our group chat was buzzing every single day. We were going to dinners on the road, everyone. And, I think there was a lot more buy-in and a lot more, I'd say, energy around the group and even on the bench. I think we've had that conversation before just about what a winning bench feels like. And I think the last 15 games, that was the closest that I've felt, at least in my time here, that everyone's pulling the rope and everyone's rooting for each other.
Max, when you hear the word rebuild, what does it feel like for you as a young player?
It feels that maybe I mean, no one wants to. No player in here is thinking rebuild. I mean, we're all going to train our butts off this summer and come into camp and try to compete for a playoff spot. But when you hear rebuild, I think you can think of some excitement and look around the league at some of the teams that have done it, and you see Willie, you see Zeev, you see all these really young players, and that should be exciting for fans to see, because the potential is endless with these guys, and I think if it's done right, you can be one of the best teams in the league, and yeah.
And Zeev, one more from you, because you haven't answered enough, right? You talked about learning this season. What have you learned about yourself and about as a person and as a player?
Yeah, it's I think as a player, learned a lot about my game. Thought I started to kind of find my confidence toward the end of the season and kind of learn what I can and can't do, and when to push the pace, when to sit back a little bit, and I think I'm gonna obviously continue to learn that, and I think those are kind of the biggest things. And I think personally, just learning how to stay positive and not beat yourself up. I think it's easy, especially as hockey players. I mean, you play so many games a season. You're playing a game, then you're flying on the plane, on the road to wherever, and you have so much time sometimes to think about the game you just played or whatever, and sometimes you can beat yourself up about it. And I think I found ways to kind of just keep pushing through and stay positive and just try to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Take two more, Adam and Thomas.
Tom, these last couple weeks, there's been a bigger pushback from the team, players standing up for each other that we didn't necessarily see at the beginning of the season. So what have you noticed over this last couple weeks compared to the rest of the season that has changed that dynamic in the group?
I don't know. I think kind of like Sass was saying earlier. I think we've ever since trade deadline, I think we've had a good thing rolling, like in the group, and I think that has gotten stronger. I think the more time that we've spent together and the closer we've got, I think that all kind of gets us in that direction. I think that is very important and a good testament to us that we have players setting up for each other, and I think that shows that we have gone in the right direction in that department. And I think that's very important for a team to have, that part to us. So I think it's good.
And for Zeev, you have the opportunity contract extension this coming summer. Is that something that you've already thought of, or is that something that comes down the road?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't thought of it at all, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that's something that's a conversation for later. I obviously, haven't talked to them about that or anything. So, yeah, I don't know.
Max, you played, you played playoff hockey until like late June last year, and then had a very short off season before establishing yourself as a full-time NHL player this year. You're looking at a much longer off season over the next few months, and your contractual situation's like settled. How do you sort of use this off season in contrast with how you approached it last year?
Yeah, I just had a conversation with our strength guys about that. I mean, last summer I got home July 1st and I was back here like August 20 something. So, using this full off season to obviously, you hear the answers to train, and which obviously 100%, I'm going to, use this to be more mobile. I think there's areas of my game that I can clean up with my wall play, my puck touches. And I also think I can transform myself with this long off season into more of a, I'd say, NHL like third line body where, you're not getting pushed off the puck as easy. And also I want to continue to work on my speed. I don't think, you can ever be fast enough. So, also, shoring up my mental side, because I found, especially at this level, that you look around the room, you look within yourself, and I feel a lot of times that when guys are thinking a lot and they have a lot going through their mind,
you can see it on the ice. And when a guy's playing free and playing with confidence, it's very noticeable. So working on all different aspects of myself, from my body to my mind, and on the ice. So yeah, you touched on it, and 100%. I think I'm going to come back a lot better player for it, and use these experiences this year as well.
All right, there we go. That was the last one. So I'll exit out of that. Let's go back to here. One thing I wanted to point out, because I actually, believe it or not, I just realized this. Noah Vander Kane in these end of season press or media availability. Yeah, Noah Vander Kane, and I just saw Farhan Lalji's tweet about it from earlier today. Basically saying, Vander Kane is not at the Canucks season-ending press meetings, which is intriguing to me. I know he's a pending UFA, but so is Teddy Bluger, and he showed up. Here, let me actually bring up the tweet here real quick. Probably only going to go about 10 or 15 more minutes, and we'll sign off. We've already hit past 2 hours reacting to this. I know you haven't seen much action from me, just because I wanted to let everything, play and whatnot. So let me find. Wait, what the hell? Okay, this is a joke. What the hell is going on? Okay, well, I guess it's not working. No, never mind. I guess I can't show you guys the tweet. But anyway, so yeah, Farhan tweeted saying Vander Kane is not at Canucks season-ending meetings. There's obviously been a lot of chatter about this. The tweet was from 10 after 11, so just after 11 a.m. But yeah, a lot of reactions from this, and then obviously, people know it was reported that he wasn't even at the fan appreciation night and didn't give his jersey away. So little obviously interesting, that Kane doesn't show up for this, doesn't show up for fan appreciation night. And I know he hasn't played since he got his silver stick, and I know he was, dealing with some sort of injury. But for him not to show up for this or fan appreciation night when a bunch of the injured guys did show up is, I think, pretty disrespectful from Kane, and just kind of shows you the type of person he is. Of course, I don't know the reasons behind it, but at the same time, like I mentioned, Bluger showed up, Hedl showed up, Demko showed up, but Evander Kane doesn't. Kind of rubs me the wrong way, and kind of reaffirms, what I've thought about Kane this entire time. So, let me know in the chat if there's anybody in here. What are your thoughts on Evander Kane not showing up or not being a part of the season end, media availability? We do still have our poll going on. I just hit it. So if there's anyone in here, type a 1 in the chat if you do think firing Patrik Allvin was the right move by the Canucks. You can type a 2 in the chat if you do not think it was the right move by the Canucks. But yeah, just kind of stunning that Evander Kane was not a part of this. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. Like I said, I'm probably gonna sign off here in a bit. I got some stuff I got to deal with. But I wanted to do this for you guys since I missed out on last night, unfortunately. And again, I apologize for that. You know, things, you know, shit happens, and especially with the week that I've already had, I don't need to repeat what's been going on. But yeah, been a difficult week, to say the least. So, and to give you guys a little bit of time to answer that poll question if you guys want. If not, I'm probably going to sign off, you know, take care of stuff as I mentioned. But season's come to an end. It's been, or we'll probably do a wrap up live stream. I don't know when, but maybe in the next week or two. And then, you know, we can really discuss the season then. I just wanted to do this just to jump on the opportunity and the live reaction to this. But yeah, for those of you that were here, I really appreciate you guys showing up. You know, SGA, I saw Simon in here. I saw Nick from Windy City Hockey. I saw Jay, Steve, Japan 4, Calvin. I saw obviously, you know, earlier. Harry as well. Thank you all for showing up, and I'll catch you guys hopefully soon.